Hey y'all, it is a beautiful day. We finally got sunshine, so we're gonna check out the Head Kicks garden and what's been going on since it's been neglected for quite a few weeks. Let's check it out. This is the bed that had our roselle. You can still see that roselle is there. We planted onions here and you can see they are doing so well. This is our comfrey that we had planted in here last year. We do have a couple little weeds growing in here that needs to come out, but in general the onions are looking so good. They're actually doing really great, as is the celery. The celery stalks are looking really good. Right here in the walkway, we've got a lot of the native Indian blankets popping back up. That is what these stems here were from. And so they're popping up all right here in the walkway, right alongside the sorrel that is doing so good. This is the most delicious green. So sorrel here in Zone 9, South Louisiana, grows year round for me. This particular plant is right underneath this trellis, and when I plant it there, it will grow all year long. It'll grow in the summer as long as we don't eat it all the way down. Favorite snack? How yummy is that?
Good.
Wonderful. It's the best. Right here behind the sorrel, I had, these are Mexican torch sunflowers. You can see those are the little tiny seeds right in there. All those little pieces are the seeds. I just sprinkle these back around, sprinkle some down in there and let them pop up right there.
What?
You can see that right there is the seed, and it will grow lots of beautiful Mexican sunflowers. These are a bit of a mystery for me. These are supposed to be kohlrabi, but I don't think it was. Yeah, a couple of them were kohlrabi. The others that started coming up, they did not look like kohlrabi, and they actually had a lot of damage down here. It looked like some type of vine borer got to it. And then we also had our roselle. I have been waiting on these to save seeds from them, on these pods to open. I had the roselle in the middle of these beds, and I'm not going to do that again. It was just really difficult to get to them, and they didn't grow as well because they didn't have a ton of space. I've got more celery here. The celery is doing really great. This is my Sugar Rush peach pepper that I've covered the base of, and I'm hoping that it will just grow back again like it always does. In this other front bed, we've got the same thing. I've got, I believe this one is parsley. Yeah, this one is my parsley. I've got some sorrel. Awesome, baby. And I had planted some onions all the way down the front of this bed. You can see the roselle is still in here as well. I'm gonna be saving more seeds from these, but you can tell how big these plants get just in the bed. I need to cut them out. I just haven't made time to do it yet. Let's check that out. There they are, seeds from last year. This bed is the most thriving bed in the garden. We've got some, this one's called Bloody Dock, a different sorrel. Our regular lemony sorrel. We've got some fennel. We've got calendula. We've got some different herbs in here. I've got a scarlet kale. I've got some cilantro. That is more. More Bloody Dock on the corner. We've got plenty of little weeds that are growing in this bed. This bed always stays super lush. In our U-shaped bed, we have this beautiful cabbage. Very pretty. More sorrel, my little man's favorite. We've got a lot of Indian blanket that needs to be saved. We've got some weeds growing down in there. These are all little tiny Indian blanket babies. So these are about to get uprooted and moved to other areas in the garden. You can see this is one little seed head, and that little seed head just sprinkles all throughout the garden, and pops up everywhere. These, honestly, I don't remember what these are. They might be a little turnip, maybe. Then we've got more sorrel as always, and some beautiful red streaks mustard. Last bed in the garden is full of kale and cabbage. This kale, you can tell it had a couple of areas that didn't survive the freeze very well. This is basically just kind of mush. It's just falling off right there. But this area of the kale is doing totally fine. We got one little cabbage back here that's trying to form. A few more weeds, more kale, and then some really, really beautiful, beautiful cabbages and kale that are growing in here. Ooh, look at that one. That is beautiful. Those look so good. One thing that I actually learned in my garden, these rounded kales do so much better for me than like the Napa varieties that kind of are a little bit pointier. They did not do good in my garden. Back here in the back, we have some tatsoi, and this one is actually going to seed. I was letting some go to seed to save seeds from. These look like I could probably harvest a couple of those and bring them in, but these cabbages look so good for somebody that always struggles with cabbage. We're gonna have to start harvesting these soon. That is what's left of the garden. I have not touched this garden in quite a while. One thing I am gonna do though is I'm gonna take some of these little Indian blanket flowers and I'm going to transplant them over to an area where I wanna have a lot of native flowers in very, very shallow soil. So let's do that. So what I'm actually doing here is I'm just taking my fingers and I'm digging right around the soil where I have a little plant, and I'm just kind of pulling that up, and you can see here I've got roots right down here. So I'm taking the soil and a little bit of this flower. I'm going to transplant the entire thing. That way it's got a little bit of the soil that it was growing in and it won't be as disturbed when I move it. But make no mistake, these things are so resilient. They will grow just about anywhere. And I could probably do this about 50 more times this year. They come up everywhere. If I ended up pulling it up and it looked like this, I could very easily still replant this, and this won't be any problem at all. See those roots? Let's go put them in their new bed. All right, so this little patch of our area in our parking lot is just a small little inlet between all the parking spots. The soil here is maybe about 6 inches deep at most. You can see it's got a little bit of grass growing. This is just some topsoil that was pulled off of an area where we were doing some construction. I asked them to dump it right here and spread it, and I am going to transplant our little flowers into the edges of this. I'm also gonna come through here and I'm gonna bring a rake and kind of mix all of this up. We do have a lot of grass growing already, and I'm gonna throw a bunch of poppy seeds, Mexican sunflower seeds, Mexican torch sunflower seeds, and put a lot of these Indian blanket and other flowers. So this can just be a little pollinator haven out here in the parking lot. So all that I'm gonna do, you could take a little tool if you had one, but I'm just gonna come through with my hands and make a little space. I'm gonna put our entire little plant that we just uprooted and moved, set it down, and pack it in there. These things will grow virtually anywhere. They grow in the cracks of our sidewalks, so I'm really not concerned that this is so heavy, because if they can grow in a little bit of dirt in the crack of the sidewalk, they can make it just fine right here. I love that they are so incredibly drought tolerant. I never ever have to water these flowers. They go through our driest weather just fine, and I know that they will do really well right here, and they'll reseed and spread over time. So I've got that front little area planted. We're gonna have flowers there in the spring. The biggest thing I learned from my garden last year is that we did not have bees in my garden until May. So while I was putting all this stuff in the ground in March and in April, there were no bees to pollinate it. So I had to hand pollinate everything. So I am making sure that this year I've got lots of stuff planted for the pollinators. I really love the Indian blanket, but the thing that they gravitated to most in my garden last year was the Mexican sunflower. So I am getting a lot of that started inside. I'm actually gonna take some of these seed heads. I'm gonna take them inside, sprinkle them in some soil, and then once they start popping up, start transplanting them out. Thanks for checking out our garden today. We hope to see you next time. Follow along with us for our spring 2023 garden. We got a lot going on. Make it a great day.